So you may remember a few months ago I reviewed the PC VR version of Ven VR Adventure, which I will also link in the top right now if you want to know my original thoughts on the game. Well, this time Monologic Games is back with the Quest and Quest 2 port for the game, so I'm also back to see what's changed and what's new. Before getting stuck in and petting a few Ikais, remember to subscribe if you haven't already and slap a like or dislike and a question or comment if you have any, it all helps out. One thing I do want to say straight away though is that the game is cross-buy, so if you own the Oculus PC version, you will be able to just install it straight away on your standalone headset. So that's a really nice bonus if you already own it, as if you want to go on holiday and it rains, or you just want to play it at a friend's house, you don't need to take your entire PC or laptop. But for the game itself, if you haven't played Ven VR or seen anything about it, a quick summary. You're there to help Ven, whose homeworld has been invaded by Bruce Nelson. Bruce Nelson wants to enslave Ven's species and use the magical runes on the planet to make himself live, basically forever. To save Ven's people, you must platform your way through 3 regions containing 4 levels each, and they will ramp up in difficulty and require precision throughout while saving the young Ikai. Since the PC VR version, there have been a few changes and additions, so let's get started with the actual level progression. If you played the PC VR version or the Oculus PC version, you might not even recognise the level progression. The first big thing you'll notice if you played on PC is, almost all the levels have been scrambled. The reason being is something close to what I said in my review. After level 3 or 4 in the old progression system, the game really jumped in difficulty as you had the bridge level with really intricate platforming. And again for level 8 and 9 the difficulty jumped again, which could be a bit tricky for those new to platforming or those who are used to more casual platforming, to have that big spike in difficulty. With the new sorting of levels, personally I feel that it does flow better and makes more sense. Port Hope at the start with all the warm level design and platforming, and then slowly it progressed through to more dangerous and tricky platforming, making it a much better flow. The only issue I had with changes to levels specifically is the final area of pickaxe pounding. It used to be a VR controlled section where you had to move the minecart with your hand and controls, but it has since been changed for a rail system. The reasoning for this was because the devs found it wasn't really a satisfying mechanic, according to them, which is a fair reason to pull it. My only change I would make to what they have done so far is change the rail part to have more interlinked platforming sections. My reasoning for that is because when you're trying to get all the boxes, you end up waiting for the next cart for a while sometimes, but if you put more interlinking parts, you could have a really nice flowing section similar to the bridge level Soaring Snake, where you have the option to never really stop running and platforming. It just feels nice. The final boss was also changed to not require the VR movement and control, but in my opinion is still very similar as the mechanics haven't changed too much other than throwing sonic grenades now instead of the VR movement. The second big change is Dynamic Shadows. This will also be patched into the PC VR version and Oculus PC version, so don't worry, we will also be getting these fancy shadows soon. Dynamic shadowing means that while you move around based on the lighting and direction, the shadows of objects, enemies, and Ven himself will update in real time and give you a very nice bit of extra environment detail and immersion. Some might argue this isn't a huge deal, but in comparison to the old shadowing, which was not as detailed, I really like it, and I noticed it right away. It adds another layer to the world environment and just makes it look more realistic and makes for a more quality looking game. The third big change is the camera. It's a subtle change, but it definitely helps. Before, the camera would only really move forward, and if you wanted to go backwards, it was a little awkward. Now if you move backwards, after a short while the camera will actually follow you and allow a clearer view of whatever it is that you went back for. A very welcome change. The changes to the camera that we have now should help new players a lot, and allow you to have more freedom within the levels. The final big thing for me with the Quest port is the actual optimization and the quality of the game. Sadly, I can only record via the Quest 2 at 1080p, so it's a fairly limited representation of what the quality looks like, but it looks surprisingly good for a standalone version of a game. Granted, yes, there are some texture downgrades in some places, and the sharpness of the image and anti-aliasing is a little bit lower, but that's to be expected with any mobile style device port. But giving you a few back-to-backs here is very different to actually experiencing the game and not focusing on those details for the sake of comparison. For what it is, it's impressive. If you do want more comparisons though, I will put up a comparison video as well, which should appear in the top right now. Though with Ven being a platforming game that's also third person, the textures and graphics are more of a nice to have than a need to have. The platforming experience in itself is the main focus of the game, so honestly I wouldn't get too hung up on just the textures. This is also not a change, but I just want to say again, the music that's in Ven VR is such a good soundtrack. All the music in this video is in the game. I just think it sounds fun and original. The fact that in a few levels you can go from jungle themed music with percussion, to an ice level with glockenspiel and the atmospherics, to an industrial sounding factory theme with electronic sounds and a violin. The sound guy deserves a mention, just saying, as I never get bored of hearing this music. To sum up the Quest port, I'm going to compare it to what I thought in my PC VR review as a summary. I think the game is every bit as fun as it was on the PC VR version, and I pretty much like all the changes they've made other than the one part of the rail level as previously explained, but who knows, maybe in the future they'll change it again in some way. I have to say though, I like when game studios continue to develop and update the game even though it's been out for about 7 months now. I've seen studios drop a game, update it a few times, and then never touch it again and make something else. So it's nice to see new stuff like dynamic shadows and the camera fixes, as it actually takes time to develop and optimize these. For the pricing, I've been told it should be pretty much the same as the other releases, so it should be around £22.99 or $30. Again, I feel that for the quality of the game, the music, the ideas within it, it's probably a fair price to pay, as it's a challenging and fun experience. Though for those who aren't big into platformers, you may have a different perspective. I am well aware that I'm a big platformer enjoyer. Blame Crash Bandicoot, Mario and Spyro and other classics for that. That's not my fault. But all in all, I think it's a really good port, and I enjoyed playing through all of it again and even in a different order. As I said in my review, I feel this is a solid benchmark for the devs, and I really hope we get a Ven 2 in the future that really expands on the story and the world to make Ven a mascot for VR platforming. Ven VR Adventure will be available on Quest and Quest 2 1 hour after this video goes live, or the 12th of August if you're watching this in the future. Please tell me what the future's like. Feel free to follow the links in the pinned comment and description section for my Twitter, Discord, Twitch, etc. But that about wraps up this video, so I will see you for the next one.